What is up, my YouTube people? All right, so today's video is going to be a little different than normal. I have a whole kind of build out for it, as well as some resources at the end I can share with you. This is definitely my next level here. So if you also notice, my background is different. This is not a green screen. This is my updated office now. This is what I spent yesterday doing, and it's fun. So as I have a new environment, I just have new levels of clarity. And this today, I think, is going to be one of the best videos I've ever put out because I know a lot of you are looking for that aha moment. You have that thing, you want to have that like breakthrough where everything clicks in place. This video is going to give you such massive understanding of how things work. So you can be the best you can be. You can understand your past and how it's still affecting you to this day. And then you can also learn how to literally build and stack up how you are to how you need to be so you can get the result you want. Okay. So this will be the aha moment for you. And yeah, I might have some new kind of edits in here and everything, but definitely taking my game to the next level. So let's dive in. There's been a 10-year journey for me to figure this out for myself, and I pick up little bits along the way. My goal is to take what I learned in the past 10 years and help you assimilate this, let's say, in the next like 1 year or 2 years. And I've helped a lot of people do this, and I've seen a lot of people grow faster than me. I have had quite a bit of success fairly early on in my life. However, it's from being so hardcore in terms of wanting to actually improve my life and really be the best I can be for the people around me. And so I'm going to bring up an idea that I think will help paint a little context for this, and then we'll get into the actual concept I want to talk about, which is stacks and different kinds of stacks in your life and how to assess your stacks and change the stacks and everything so that everything is stacked in your favor to do what you want to make happen in the world. Okay. So I'll give you this example though. I think it really illustrates the point. Sometimes you'll be listening to a podcast or a video on YouTube, or could be even listening to something I'm saying, right? And what happens is you take what the person says at face value, and then you think, oh, I need to do this. Classic example would be like you can watch two fitness influencers, and one will say, you should eat steak every day, and another will say, never eat red meat again. And if you're not careful, you will then just get stuck because you'll hit information overload instead of being able to assess kind of really the information for what it is. But now let's take it a step further. So there's a guy named Naval Ravikant, and he is he's got pretty popular on X, Twitter, social media, and everything. He was originally he started a company called AngelList, and then he's like a Silicon Valley investor, and I'm sure he's got a $20 million net worth or something like that. Might even be higher. And he's become pretty popular. He's kind of like this guru of Silicon Valley guy, and he's got some cool stuff. But I'll give you an example of what happens here. So he made this audio series called How to Get Rich. And this guy interviewed him on a bunch of tweets he made. And what happens is in that video series, he's getting interviewed, and they say, okay, basically, what's your take on meetings? And Naval says, I never do meetings. Like, I don't have time for meetings. I don't want meetings on my calendar. I don't do coffees. I don't, want to exchange business cards, whatever. He's like, I want to stack all my day how I want it to be. And, if that involves minimal meetings, and then, I can take my time, take my dog on a walk, whatever. He's basically saying he doesn't do meetings. But what people then hear is, oh, I shouldn't do meetings. I should just spend my day in like my creative flow. Here's the issue. Naval already made his money. He already is rich. So now he's giving you advice from someone who is rich. And if you or me, or let's say you're even earlier in the journey, now design your day of like, oh, I just want to like kind of chill and be in creative mode all day and not do meetings, it's not going to work well. I guarantee when he was building AngelList, he was building his project, he did a ton of meetings. He probably didn't like it, but it doesn't matter. It's like that's what it took for him to get that success he wanted. So I'm just giving you like that's an example of how this happens, but it happens all over. So I take that into consideration when I make my videos. So whether I'm telling you, hey, this is exactly what I do now, or this is what I did when I was starting out, I'm always factoring in when someone's listening to this, because I don't want to give you the wrong advice. Now, I can't tailor this to every last person, right? There's a certain kind of person I'm making my videos for. However, this concept here today that I'm going to explain to you, which is the idea of the stack, can be applied whether you are brand new into self-development or you've been doing this for 20 plus years and you've done the meditation retreats and you've done the, you know, the Tony Robbins seminars and all that. Like no matter where you're at in the journey, this is going to be an overarching mental model really by which you can see what's going on. Okay. So it's about what works timelessly. All right, let's get into it. So I made a post on my Substack about this. I'm starting to write more a lot on Substack, and I have to say the writing, like I've written a lot in my life, but my writing game's definitely at a new level now. And it's really cool because I will get people private messaging me saying like, "Dude, I read this and then I shared this with this person." And it's like that's what I'm all about. So if you watch my stuff and you're not like giving me feedback or reaching out, like I'm just letting you know you can reach out about it. I usually, give a little invitation to that to like my Facebook page or whatever. But I'm serious. If you resonate with this stuff, you can reach out. And especially in this video, I'm going to have a resource at the end that I think you're going to like. So the first concept I want to really break down is this idea. I call it a psychological stack. And there's a cool concept I heard this first from. It was this guy, his name's Stephen Kotler, and he writes some interesting books. I kind of like his writing style. And he wrote a book called Stealing Fire, and now his newer one is called The Art of Impossible. And he also co-wrote the book Bold by Peter Diamandis. And all his books are great. They don't have the answers in them per se, because I read all these books and I was still struggling. But they're cool for building your worldview. But I want to give you the gold that I've got from it. So in that, he is studying extreme sports athletes, and he's figuring out, so specifically in the one Art of Impossible, he's talking about people who are going after this insane, like, world record breaking level of performance. And there's a certain like chemical cocktail in their brain by which they are able to stack that up. So then they hit the flow state. So then they can perform at this higher level. And now someone can get super rigid about this, and that's not, I don't care what level you're at, don't get super rigid about it. I'm more saying this is a very helpful way by which you can start to understand your life. So here in Minnesota, where I live, it's currently February. It's freaking cold and it's gray a lot of the time. So part of what I do, because when I was younger, I would just go beast mode and I would just down an extra cup of coffee and I would just like go all out. And I'll still do that, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as you're clear within yourself what you're doing. This year, though, now that I've had 2 kids, I've noticed I've had a new level of, let's say, energy expenditure. And I've just got to that next level in terms of like pouring into community. So I will have some times where I've like hosted a big event. And then the day after, like maybe one of our kids is sick. I'm like, whoa, I got to actually really take care of myself now at a new level because I don't want to wake up when I'm 45 one day and be like, oh shit, like I've exhausted myself. So I don't use this as an excuse. Rather, it's I got to be honest with myself about where I'm at in my current role in life. So part of that is I make sure, like when I wake up and I start my day, I have a specific stack by which I build my day. I'll give you my routine, but it's not going to work for you the same way that it works for me. But I will give you some fundamentals. Like when I wake up, I definitely don't just open my phone and start scrolling. When I start my day, I want to be more of a creator than a consumer. So what I do after I, get myself going, have some water, have some coffee, whatever. I mean, I talk about this in all my videos, but I start to stack in the things that I need to do, such as rebuilding my vocabulary, rebuilding my programming, doing the unconscious programming that sets the day up for success. I do my specific writing process where I do self-forgiveness journaling and all that. That's how I start to stack my day. But what that does on a psychological level and more of an energy level is it starts to stack up the understanding that, oh yeah, I'm here creating. I can create basically whatever I want to create. Yes, it's going to take time, but like I'm starting my day out with clarity and I'm radiating what I want to radiate. As opposed to you wake up, you pop up in X, start looking at the news, or you open up Instagram, you're frying your brain right away. And now compound that now over the day. So let's say 2 hours later, right, I'm eating breakfast and I'm hanging out with my wife and I see my kids. I'm not going to be on my phone during that time. I'm going to actually be present with them and realize, hey, I'm probably only going to see my kids for 20 minutes today till the end of the day. Cool. Let me enjoy my 20 minutes with them. Let me, if we're playing some music, let me, dance around with my son. Let me wrestle with him, like whatever he wants to do. And that's how I start to, again, I stack more wins in my favor. Yes, there's all these neurochemicals in there too. You could look at oxytocin and dopamine and all this shit. I find most of the time that just turns into a distraction because then people get hyper fixated on thinking, oh, I need more dopamine. Oh, I need to do a dopamine detox. I don't think you need to do a dopamine detox. I think you just need purpose, like straight up. You need purpose and you need the understanding of this idea of the stack. Yes, if you totally fried your brain and you've been looking at a computer for 16 hours a day for 5 years in a row and you've actually totally fucked up your neurochemistry, okay, maybe you got to do dopamine detox. But if people don't realize the real power they have and how much they can actually process stuff in their body. And so, rather, I would just say look at your day as stacking up things that you know are going to set you up for success. And then, usually, I'll share one other part with my stack that I found to be helpful that I think is pretty timeless across no matter where you are in life, whether you're absolutely killing it, making millions of dollars a year right now, you got the relationship you want, all that, or you're a total noob and you're just beginning. Is you got to figure out what are like the 1 to 3 things you need to get done that day. For me, I like to plan it out the night beforehand because I have the clarity. I've kind of been working all day. It's like the engine's still running, so to speak. I like to plan my day so I know what's going to happen. So then if I think about it late at night or early in the morning, I know, oh yeah, these like 3, 4 things are happening today. Cool. And then you got to get that like the main work done in the morning. I'll give you another pro tip. This goes into that idea of the psychological stack, okay? Men and women are different. Newsflash. As much as the media tells you that men can be women, women can be men, let me just tell you how it is. Every day, men have a hormone cycle and it goes 24 hours. Women have a similar cycle, but it goes over 28 days. Okay? I think you know why that is. Okay? We're all adults here. For men, what this does is imagine in the morning is like springtime. All of your neurochemicals are coming online. You're getting up, you got the sun, all that. Springtime, you have like max energy. I mean, give it a couple hours from when you wake up, right? But it's like you're coming out of winter, going into spring. Then you got kind of early to mid morning and to early afternoon is like summertime. Then you got late afternoon, evening is like fall, right? This is where you reap the benefits of the day. Think of summers like you're working your ass off. And then fall comes around, and fall is where you reap the harvest of the day. And some days you had a shitty day and there's no harvest. And some days you're like, dude, I killed it today. Right. And then finally, sun goes down, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. This is now winter time. It's time for you to rest or just kind of do, minimal things. I know someone's going to be out there and go, I'm a night owl. I get shit done in the evening. Okay. I'm just giving you general baseline as to how humans interface with reality. And you can either work with it or you can fight it. And sure, if you're a night owl, whatever. Okay. You can be special, but I'm just giving general ideas here. And if you fight this, you're going to be in trouble. If you wake up first thing in the morning, you're watching Netflix, right? And then you're wondering why 6 p.m. you feel like shit. And then you're like, oh, maybe I should get some work done. It's like you're fighting your nature. So rather work with nature, right? Stack things in your favor. Now, women, my wife could make a video on this, more specific, but let's just say there's times of the month, roughly, right? Or let's just say there's a general cycle where women are going to be more wanting to go do stuff. And then there's going to be times where they're going to be more wanting to chill. Okay, so that's my baseline. So men, if your lady doesn't want to go hiking with you, and do some epic fucking adventures sometimes, maybe that's why, right? Also, women, one other pro tip. See, this is the benefit of these videos, and when you watch the full thing, is I've all this wisdom and stuff I've assembled over the years, and my only way I know how to get it out on the record is through just throwing this in videos. So if you watch my videos, yes, they'll always have a title, but there'll always be these like little gems throughout of just cool stuff I've learned that I've actually applied in my life. Here's another one, right? Timeless advice. Women cannot produce oxytocin if they have low blood sugar, or it's very limited to how much oxytocin they can produce. So literally that chemical that you want her to have, because you want her to, be all affectionate and loving, whatever. If she's not well fed, she's not gonna be able to produce that. So this is like a relationship saver right here. You got to know what snacks she likes. Okay. So if you're on a little road trip or you have this amazing elaborate plan, like I always laugh at this idea, right? I shouldn't laugh at it because it's kind of fucked up, but see, knowledge is power. Okay. And guys don't have this knowledge. Imagine the guy who plans out the greatest ever engagement for his girlfriend, soon to be fiance. He's going to go to the beach. He's going to surprise her with some flowers. He's going to have the candles laid out. He's going to have a photographer there to capture that moment, okay? But he didn't plan very well. So now it's kind of drawn out. She's not really sure what's going on, right? She hasn't eaten in like 4 hours. So, but he's like, no, it's going to be so cool. He's got this image in his mind of, oh yeah, well, the sun's going to be setting. It's going to be a drone. Take our photo. I'm going to get on one knee, propose to her. Meanwhile, she is now hungry, but the dude didn't plan ahead. So he doesn't have some snacks for her. Now she's pissed, right? But she's got a smile on her face because she can tell her man put in the effort, whatever, right? And now the man gets on one knee and proposes for this most amazing moment of their life, right? Up to date. And she's like, yeah, right. She says yes, but deep inside, she's like, fuck this shit, right? That's like how out of touch men and women are and how unfamiliar we are with this idea of the psychological stack. And it will screw you up if you don't know it. That's why I'm putting this in video so you can understand it. You got to understand your own stack so you can use this to your advantage. And you also got to understand, especially if you're in a relationship, right? You got to understand that your partner, your significant other, your prospective partner, they're going to have their own stack. Work them in unison. Life is awesome. Don't work them in unison. Your life becomes a living hell. All right. I know I'm saying that kind of hyperbolically, but I'm serious. It's like you're going to screw yourself up. So you have a psychological stack. All right. I think that's enough on this first point. You want to stack it in your favor. All right. Now, next up, you have a skill stack. Skill stack. Okay. I will just share some of mine. This is how you can also understand this is where I'm coming from in my videos. Okay. Early on, first ever job I had was I would mow lawns, and I was a door-to-door salesman in my neighborhood selling my lawn care services. Okay, I wasn't very good, but I got the job done enough, and I had a fair rate, and it was just like I think my neighbors were just like, oh, sure, mow my lawn, whatever. But that I didn't want to go knock the doors. I didn't want to go mow the lawns. I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyway. That was a little bit of a stack up in my discipline category. Okay, as time went on, I would work construction in the summers. My dad had a construction company, so I spent years out there being a laborer, demolishing buildings. What's funny is now I make videos about like disrupting the school system. Literally from a young age, I was literally destroying schools, legally, of course, right? But I would work as a laborer. And there would be like, they'd be doing some addition to a school and someone has to go in and actually use like a jackhammer and, saws and things like that to destruct the structure, the building. So I spent years doing that. And all the other guys were like, you want to go to school. You don't want to be doing this forever. Like, they'd always be complaining and shit. They're funny guys, but I spent years doing that too. So that also taught me like the value of hard work, and it fucking sucked. It was not fun. You'd get off by 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and I'm like, I want to go to bed. This sucks. But that's part of my skill stack. So just think for yourself. And again, at the end, I'll have some resources so you can start to understand your own stack. So you can start to now really see like, oh, what can I contribute to the world that is absolutely unique from me, right? From yourself. I'll give you a couple other examples. I spent years as a tutor. And also I worked in a group home. I was like a counselor. I don't even remember my role, but this was for a long time. And I had to learn how to deal. I worked with young adults that had what's called explosive behavior disorder. Maybe they changed the name now. Maybe it's not PC to say that, but straight up, you'd be eating dinner, it'd be chill, and something would set someone off and you'd get a plate thrown at your head if you weren't careful. So that taught me how to be very good at managing dynamics and very good at working with conflict. That to this day is part of my skill stack. And what's funny is, so after that, right, I also learned I was very good at project management, and I was very good at working with entrepreneurs who were very visionary, but their life was a total mess. I was very good at working with them to help be the integrator. So I remember at times when I'd be in these heated business meetings, working with the main guy I was working with, and out of confidentiality, I won't say the names, but I had the guy I was working with, and then you'd have some other people, and it would get very heated to the point where they're like fucking shouting at each other and like hitting on the table. And, people are like battling over equity in companies and stuff here. So it was these very tense environments. And I just remember I would be sitting in the room and I'd be like, yeah, I'd prefer this to having a plate thrown at my head. So that became part of my skill stack. And see, I didn't even know what a skill stack was. So I was just like, oh, I'm me. I guess I have some skills. I have my resume. I guess, sure, this is my this is my work experience. It's like, no, there's a whole understanding to this. And especially when I get to part 3 of this video, it'll all make sense as to how this is literally like you have a platform by which you can create on. Okay. So, a couple other things. So, I got really good at project management. And then I also traveled a lot. Like, I lived in Brazil for 6 months, somewhat early on. This is when I was still in university. And that was so eye opening because I learned I'm really, really good at befriending people and getting along with people. And I also know, sure, I guess I tan well. I picked up language pretty quickly. So, like, I could kind of blend in with the locals there. But it was like I got very good at adapting. And it was interesting because during that time, there was a lot of civil unrest there. There was like the World Cup was coming to town. They had Carnival as well. So I saw all this cultural change, and it really inspired me to say like, oh wow, there's so much I didn't learn from just living where I grew up. It was cool, it was expansive for me. And then I learned psychology. um, I learned business, I learned marketing, I learned high ticket sales, I learned e-commerce. I made quite a bit of money in e-com because I had such a good background in marketing, but it never clicked until I found part 3 of this video. That's what made it all click. But then also like high ticket sales, I made a shitload of money for a lot of companies in high ticket sales as well because I've developed this skill stack. So that's my skill stack. At the end of this video, you'll have the little resource so you can understand your own skill stack. But when you know your skill stack and like you actually know it, not just it's on paper and you can pass a job interview with it, but like it's fucking part of you. It's like your DNA. And you realize that. You can walk into situations and have a level of confidence that is amazing. Like, I meet a lot of people and I don't try and play weird like power games and like one up people or like outdress them and all that shit. It's just if I can get talking to someone and actually really ask the questions and share the stories, it's like that real part of me will shine through. And I know that. So I build my life around those kind of meetings and stuff. But I also realize like part of my responsibility and the goals that I have and the things I'm stacking up to be able to achieve involves me being able to get really good at communicating in video and providing massive amounts of value through using the mediums such as social media, YouTube, X, whatever, all these platforms I'm active on. I still prefer to meet with people in person. We do a lot of local events, but we've also, we've run our groups like the Self Perfected group. We've done hangouts for like over 200 weeks in a row. I mean, we'll miss one per year because of an annual event, but it's like I've got really good at being consistent and building community. And that's paid off massively. That's part of the reasons my wife at the time, when we first met, it's part of the reason she was attracted to me. Because I was actually building real shit in the world. So without further ado, you got to look at now, what is your skill stack? What are the skills you've developed? What are the stories you have? What are the unique perspectives you have? And don't then go, oh, no, I'm a special little snowflake. And yes, I have understanding of this and this, and you're like all special with it. It's more look at practically what do you now bring to the table by which we can all work together to actually change the culture, because that's the most important thing that we can do. We need to change how education happens, especially with the kids. We got to change the culture and what's seen as cool or normal. So that way it's cool to take self-responsibility. It's cool to work on yourself. It's cool to have a family and, the man and the woman be working together to, create something beyond just themselves. Like there are certain fundamental parts of the culture. Like imagine there's like a source code behind the culture and it's all fucked up right now, right? We would rather, watch a video game streamer play Roblox or whatever these kids are playing nowadays. I sound like a fucking boomer, but it's like actually that's what these people are playing nowadays. And I heard that this League of Legends video game, people watch that. There's like a main event that's more popular than the Super Bowl now, which is crazy. I mean, I didn't even watch the Super Bowl yesterday, but it's like you have these things that were once popular and it's changing and it's evolving. If we're not careful, it will devolve into total insanity. Yeah, hedonism, nihilism, all these ideas. Whereas where I'm coming in, where I want you to see is you have a skill stack and you have your psychological stack that will let you be a key role in the greater stack that is the world. And so we can stack the world in the best favor. So that way the world's awesome instead of being this like kind of messed up place, right? So without further ado, here's the final part. So this is the real stack. The actual stack and how you can understand the other stacks I talked about is that you have a stack within you. I call it your brick wall of understanding. And imagine when you're a little baby and you come out of the womb, it's like every single thing that you're exposed to is stacking in little bricks into you. And then your mom goes, I'm mama, 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 call me mama, whatever. And your mom is now programming you with that little brick in your wall, which is mama or mom. And then your dad comes in, right? Or maybe you didn't have a dad or whatever. And then your dad goes, I'm dad, But then, life goes on. And now you're 6 months old and dad comes home from work and he's pissed. And he's like, why isn't dinner ready? And your mom's like, why are you always yelling at me? And he's like, why are you nagging me? Guess what? Those are also bricks that are getting put in your wall. Right. And now they got TV on and maybe they got a movie on and it's got way too much action in it for a kid to be seen. And now you're getting impulse with that. And now that's building out your brick wall. And then, you grow up and now you got your first friend, right? And you're in first grade and you got your best friend, right? And then your best friend and you have a misunderstanding. Now you have the word confusion gets placed in your wall and misunderstanding. And, no one understands me. No one gets me. All this shit starts to get built into your brick wall. This is a huge brick wall, by the way. Okay. Every word, every concept, every piece of your vocabulary, that's called your programming. And another way to look at it is these are the bricks that are getting stacked in your brick wall. Interesting idea, right? Here's the thing. You're now, whatever, let's say you're 25 or 35 or however old you are. And now you're looking at your life and you're trying to come up with the new bricks you want to stack. You're like, yeah, I got to stack in marketing. I got to stack in understanding AI. I got to stack in, having a kid, whatever. These are the things you're trying to build on your wall. Here's the issue. You're on like row number 30, but rows 1 through 12 are all scrambled and messed up. Realistically, all the levels, you're missing bricks. You have bricks that are all crumbled and messed up. So now we're wondering why we can't just say, oh, here's my goal this year. I want to make $4 million and it doesn't just happen. It's because you don't have the bricks by which it makes it inevitable to make the $4 million. But then you look at Jeff Bezos, whether you like him or not, that dude makes $4 million like every minute. He's got the brick wall built. And here's the main point. Your brick wall, as much as you think it's just inside you and it's tucked away, it's not. Your brick wall is equally inside you and in your direct manifestation of your life. So where you're living right now, your home, your apartment, wherever you live, is a direct reflection of your brick wall. The level of your relationship right now. If you're like been dating for 5 years and you're afraid to propose to her, that's a direct, do you see how that's a direct reflection of your inner wall? If you have a shitty diet and now your health is all messed up, that's a reflection of your brick wall. Yes, you inherited stuff from your parents too. So I realize there's genetic factors in this as well. But either way, it's still your responsibility to change your wall. So there's now 2 ways to do this. And this is the main point I'm going to close out on. The first way with your brick wall to try and change it is sheer willpower. It will take forever. And there is no way, you do not have enough time in the day to go back through every single word. Yes, you could sit there and you can meditate on every single word and you could make sure you got the right definition and the concept and how it's all integrated with all the other words, sure. And you can maybe get through 1 word a week doing it that way. You could try, right? You could really focus on it. Let's say you're like, yes, I can tell I need to learn marketing or I need to learn whatever. In order for me to get this job I want, marketing, right? I would ask you, why are you looking for a marketing job? Right? Because where the world's headed, it's like you got your current bricks of where you're trying to get to, but then you have the overall bricks of like, you got to understand where the world's at. And you might realize, oh, I'm trying to build the wrong bricks. But either way, let's just say, for example, you're like, yep, I need to learn the skill of marketing, which is really like 200 bricks. But let's say now you're trying to piece these bricks in and you're reading all these books on marketing and you bought Russell Brunson's Funnel Hacker latest contest, the latest and greatest, right? And now you're paying, $200 a month for ClickFunnels. And then you get distracted by the next brick you need. And you look back and in your brutal self-honesty, you realize, damn, I got bricks everywhere and I'm fucking overwhelmed. And this is why you want to go drink a beer, right? Or this is why you want to go chill or smoke a joint or whatever you do for your latest and greatest way to relieve stress. Because deep down, you're not actually proud of the fact that you've lived for so long and you haven't achieved what you wanted to achieve. And I know this because I've been through this. I'm not saying this on my high horse saying, I have no regrets. It's like, no, there's things I regret. But I have figured out a way to rebuild the wall that works incredibly well. Yes, it takes time, but it's a way where you can actually replace all the bricks. So, option one, use willpower. Option two is there's a very specific set of bricks that are, let's say, like more core points in the wall that once you get these dialed in, the wall starts to fix itself and sort itself out. I'll give you a couple examples. One is money and all the different ways you can look at money. Because right now, if you think money is the root of all evil, and it might not even be conscious, but when you were a kid, if your parents struggled with bills, I guarantee you have some negative programming around money. You might be good at suppressing it, but deep down, there is likely some stuff around money, spending money, investing money, building business, that kind of thing. So that's a core part of your wall. Another one, relationships, significant other, friends, peer group, etc. You know, deep down, your programming is you don't want to be ostracized. You don't want to be left out from the group because for our great grandparents and our ancestors, if you got cut out from the group because you were pushing too many buttons or whatever, it was like you died. But nowadays, we're facing this in the world. Like we just had whatever happened in 2020 and for the next few years, that whole thing, it was like, I don't know if I want to go along with this, but people are going to think bad of me. So I'm just going to go along with it. Right. So this like how our brick wall is now crashing into everyone else's brick wall in the world. So you got to get your brick wall really dialed in. So you got money, you got relationships, I would even say the word work. That's a really big one where it's just connected to like 300 other bricks in your wall. So there's that one. You have the brick wall of how you relate to your own parents, right? Whether your parents were there or weren't there, your relationship with your mom, your relationship with your dad, your siblings. Like this is like the core fundamental stuff that's in the base levels of your brick wall and how it's stacked. So again, right now you might be trying to stack up here on level 35, but if rows 1 through 15 are all scrambled, it's like, do you see why now you feel like really bad sometimes and you feel like your life might fall apart? It's because it actually might. I'm making this video not to scare you, but making this video to bring this to the surface and to help you show there's a better way you can do this. So, in that little resource, it's going to be linked to a document and it's going to have some main questions on it. There's going to be a couple parts to it so you can understand, okay, what is my psychological stack? What is my skill stack? And then what is the real life stack, I would call it. And that's the one that's your vocabulary, your programming, your baseline understanding of reality and how it all fits together. Because there's not like one thing you're doing wrong. It's realistically between you and the life you want to get, there's like 200 things you're doing just a little bit off. So you have some definition, some understanding of these words and concepts in your life and how you're living them out too. But you're doing it just a little bit off. The thing is, I don't know what those are going to be for you. I have a rough idea after helping literally hundreds of people do this too, but I don't know exactly what's going to be for you. So you can go through that worksheet, but then at the bottom, I'll make sure there's a link to my Facebook and a link to my calendar. If you actually want to chat about this, I make time for this. It's not a lot of time, but I have a couple hours, most afternoons that I have some time. We can do a call, or if you're local to me, grab coffee or whatever, but I usually just start with a call, like 15 minutes and we'll chat. Because guess where I'm at now? In my life, after doing a lot of this work for a long time, I realized the level my wall can get to is only so high. I need a lot of other people around me who are also crushing it and also have their different angles. And then we can all work together on the greater wall that is the world. That's the greater stack here. But in order for us to get there, we all got to be dialed in and crushing it. Okay. So if you resonate with this, share the video and go through it. Like go through the actual exercise itself. And once you go through them, or even if you're like, dude, I'm overwhelmed, like I don't want to do another worksheet, whatever, just click that link, find me on Facebook and be like, hey, dude, watch your video on stacks. Let's chat. Or just book straight to my calendar. But if you book on my calendar, show up on the call. All right. Because I don't have fancy marketing automation stuff to remind you, whatever. Maybe it'll send you a reminder, but it'll book to my calendar and it'll have a Zoom link. Okay. And I will always honor the time. If you want to connect, let's do it. But all I ask is that you actually just show up with an open mind and then wanting to build, because let's build something beyond anything we've ever seen. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our partners. We owe it to our kids. We owe it to the kids to come. All right, let's do it.